Did you know Bogey?
Yes, I knew Bogey. Yeah. I don't miss him. No, I mean, I didn't know him that well, but I knew him.
Lucille Ball's life was contradictory. On the one hand, she was joy, comedy, and lightness, the type of performer who appeared to exude laughter from every cell of her body. On the other hand, her relationships with others were frequently tales of tension, conflict, and bitterness that seemed to contrast sharply with her sunny TV image. The contradictions of her life rendered her not only interesting, but also terribly human. She was a perfectionist who pushed for the best, and though that insistence made television an art form, it also left a legacy of battered egos, strained relationships, and even outright feuds. One of the most widely discussed examples of these conflicts was her troubled encounter with the iconic actor Richard Burton. Richard Burton was one of the greatest dramatic actors of his generation. Recognized for Shakespearean excellence, his authoritative voice, and his iconic performances in such films as Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Burton was the epitome of seriousness and gravitas. And so, when he guest-starred on The Lucy Show in 1965, it was a stunning convergence of two vastly disparate realities. For audiences, the prospect of Burton entering the wacky comedic world of Lucille Ball was exciting. Viewers eagerly listened as they tuned in to see the contrast between Ball's dignified demeanor and Burton's slapstick flair. The two-part episode, Lucy Meets the Burtons, vowed to be funny, and on television it did not disappoint. Viewers were in hysterics as Lucy Carmichael, Ball's lovable, accident-prone character, bumbled her way into one ridiculous situation after another as she interacted with Burton. The humor was greatly due to the contrast of personalities. Lucy was disorganized, over the top, and relentlessly tenacious. Burton, on the other hand, played the straight man, cool and nearly regal in demeanor, while Lucy's escapades careened out of control about him. To television audiences, the chemistry was perfect. Burton showed a capacity for self-deprecation, even participating in slapstick that no one would ever have imagined from a man of his stature. His critics were complimentary, delighted by his knack for comedy. Yet what the audience did not witness was the tension behind the scenes. In his personal journals, Burton let loose. He had not enjoyed the experience. He found Lucille Ball's approach intrusive. She was notorious for her perfectionism, and when filming, she supposedly gave him acting advice and attempted to mold his performance to fit her comedic cadence. Burton, a veteran actor who took pride in independence, could not abide this. He resented her direction, believing that her desire to control compromised his art. In private writings, he called her in blistering terms a monster of charmlessness, and even conceded that he might have lost his temper if he was drinking while working. It was a harsh judgment, but it underscored just how much Lucille's compulsion for control might conflict with the sensitivities of strong-willed guest stars. But Burton had mixed feelings towards her. In his later diaries, he mellowed, remembering one evening at a dinner party when he was hit by her raw beauty and toughness. Stripped of foundation makeup and her performance persona, Lucille impressed him with her skin, her energy, and her indomitable presence. He admired her as a natural, a girl who had struggled her way out of adversity to earn her niche in Hollywood. His language betrayed an ambivalence, exasperation with her technique, but admiration for her skill and survival drive. Their relationship was typical of many Lucille Ball transactions, a combination of admiration and annoyance, brilliance, and discord. The episode was similarly orchestrated when Dean Martin guest starred on The Lucy Show in 1968. Dean Martin, suave crooner and actor, and star of the iconic Rat Pack, was possibly the most popular entertainer of the era. His relaxed air and effortless cool suited him to any screen, and his visit to Lucille's show was a big deal. For viewers, the possibility of watching Dean Martin play off Lucy Carmichael was irresistible. The plot was vintage Lucy. Her character wins a dinner date with Dean Martin and fantasizes a glamorous, romantic evening with the world-renowned entertainer. Instead, she finds herself confronting a grumpy, recalcitrant Dean, and the comedy ensues as she attempts to win him around. The show's played magnificently. Martin performed a caricature of his own persona, grumpy and combative initially, only to be broken by Lucy's persistent shenanigans until he finally participated along with her in song. The highlight, a happy musical number done by the two lead stars, had viewers under its spell. The chemistry was palpable and the episodes were instant hits. But, like with Burton, the off-screen truth was far from harmonious. Martin allegedly found Lucille Ball's perfectionism to be stifling. He grew frustrated with her constant direction, especially when it came to physical comedy and timing. Known for his relaxed, improvisational style, Martin chafed at her rigid approach. At one point, he even threatened to walk off the set, exclaiming, "If she touches me one more time, I'm going home." It was a candid expression of just how exasperating Ball could be for those unused to her methods. Nevertheless, Martin was a pro. He endured, treated the audience to a memorable show, and ended up being a part of some of the most cherished shows in the series' history. For Lucille, it had paid off. A game of control on her part had led to comedic genius, however much it taxed her relationships with her guest stars. For Martin, it would probably have been a welcome respite to leave the set, but his visit sealed his place in the annals of television comedy. Not all of Lucille's arguments were with pretty guest stars. Some of her most acrimonious conflicts were with the people she saw on a daily basis. William Frawley, the actor who played Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy, was one such person. Fred and Ethel Mertz were the bumbling landlords on camera who shared zillions of adventures with Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. Fred's gruff sarcasm played perfectly against Lucy's wide-eyed antics, and audiences adore their chemistry. To fans, it seemed as though the two actors must have shared a warm rapport off-screen. The reality, however, could not have been more different. Lucille Ball and William Frawley despised one another. Their relationship was cold, distant, and marked by constant tension. Frawley, when he arrived with the cast, was a seasoned actor with years of experience in Hollywood. He was famous, too, for his quick wit, his bad temper, and his alcoholism. He was a man of unpredictable moods and antics, and though he gave good performances, he was unpredictable and unmanageable. Lucille, ever the professional, did not tolerate anything less. She demanded punctuality, preparation, and discipline from her cast, and Frawley's habits conflicted with her standards. He was occasionally late, occasionally unsteady, and frequently irritable. To work with him was draining to Lucille, but she had no other option. CBS executives informed her that Frawley could remain on the show as long as he didn't call in sick or create a huge scene, and he never did. For all his shortcomings, he was professional enough to keep within those parameters, and Lucille was left with him. Theirs was a business relationship now. They exchanged words only when absolutely necessary, and their conversations were terse and icy. Lucille thought him unprofessional. Frawley thought her domineering and controlling. "I respect her talent," he confessed once, "but I don't have to like her." The animosity endured for years. When CBS suggested a spin-off with Fred and Ethel Mertz, Lucille put an immediate end to it. She couldn't bear to work with Frawley anymore. When Frawley died in 1966, newsmen understandably asked Lucille for her comment. Her reply was brief and chillingly detached. "He was a good actor. That was all. No eulogies, no warm reminiscences, no recognition of their years together. Just attachment." It was probably the best example of how her disapproval could outlast even death. Lucille's relationship with Vivian Vance, who played Ethel Mertz, was more complicated. Unlike her frosty coldness with Frawley, her relationship with Vance was complicated with friendship, competition, respect, and sometimes tension. Vivian Vance was a talented performer with a theater background, and when she became a member of I Love Lucy, she soon became irreplaceable. Her rapport with Ball was indubitable, and scenes where they appeared together sparkled with believability. Audiences loved Lucy and Ethel, and the two formed one of television's greatest iconic couples. But beneath the laughter, tensions existed. Vance occasionally resented playing the frumpy straight man to Lucille's glamorous star. She wished for more for her character, more autonomy, and more substance. She sometimes battled writers and producers to give Ethel more to do than be a foil. These conflicts caused tension, but they also spoke to the fact that these were two powerful, gifted women operating in a traditionally male field that sometimes attempted to restrict them. In spite of the conflicts, an authentic friendship developed between them. They supported each other during personal struggles, shared confidences, and encouraged each other's careers. Vance would come to refer to Ball as a sister, an expression of the richness of their bond. Lucille Ball's relationships with the people around her were as dramatic and compelling as the shows in which she appeared. With Desi Arnaz, she had a passionate love affair that was both inspiring and tragic. With Richard Burton and Dean Martin, she battled for control of the material but created unforgettable television. With William Frawley, she suffered years of mutual dislike that never dissipated. And with Vivian Vance, she built a friendship that, despite occasional rivalry, stood the test of time. In the end, Lucille Ball was not just the queen of comedy, but also a woman whose personal and professional life revealed the price of perfectionism, ambition, and artistry. Her story is one of triumph and conflict, laughter and bitterness, love and betrayal. It is a reminder that behind every flawless performance lies a human being as flawed and fascinating as the rest of us. But beneath the humor, tensions existed. Vance at times resented being typecast as the frumpy sidekick to Lucille's glamorous star. She wished more for Ethel, more autonomy, and more complexity. She sometimes battled writers and producers to develop Ethel beyond a foil. These conflicts generated tension, yet they were also symptomatic of the fact that there were two powerful, gifted women competing in an industry dominated by men who sought often to constrain them. In spite of the conflicts, a genuine friendship developed between the two women. They supported each other through personal hardships, shared secrets, and promoted each other's careers. Vance would later refer to Ball as a sister, a sign of the richness of their bond. Lucille Ball's own relationships with the people around her were as melodramatic and enthralling as the television shows in which she appeared. With Desi Arnaz, she experienced a passionate love affair that was at the same time heroic and heart-wrenching. With Richard Burton and Dean Martin, she fought for control of the material but created unforgettable television. With William Frawley, she suffered years of mutual disdain that never dissipated. And with Vivian Vance, she built a friendship that, despite occasional rivalry, stood the test of time. Ultimately, Lucille Ball was not only the queen of comedy, but a woman whose private and public life graphically illustrated the cost of perfectionism, ambition, and creativity. Her life was one of success and conflict, humor and bitterness, love and betrayal. It is a reminder that beneath every perfect performance is a human being as imperfect and intriguing as the rest of us.